be on paper until I get sick of it. This one's about an ordinary day that goes horribly awry. Y'all hear me all right?
Yeah.
Is that okay? I don't sound muffled? I don't sound like I'm in a bag? Cool. All right. I sound like I'm in a bag up here, so.
It's like we're all in the same shower. It sounds great.
We're all in the same bag.
There you go.
Your bag, Brandon.
That was profound.
These buildings have stood the test of time. Rooted to the ground, their stone foundations obscured by decades of poured and repoured concrete sidewalks. Physics tells us, against our intuition of such things, that the particles composed to form into the most resilient stone are always in motion, albeit slowly, their essence ever betraying the permanence of constructs, though we are lulled to trust these, literally cornerstones of civilization, because the timetables in which they exist eclipse with such vastness our own. With one palm against the kitchen door frame he leaned, quietly smoking in the morning air. The coffee was brewing. He felt the slight warp of the wood painted 100 times over the 100 years and 2 earthquakes that lent support to these walls, and likewise groggy tenants beyond count. A brotherhood of early morning lethargy, each respective to the point in time he erstwhile lived here. He was but another, as this was another. This day another tick off the calendar. Many had gone down before, and doubtless many more would follow. A carton of eggs can be a teeming brood of chickens, just a bit of jaded optimism requisite. Closing the front door behind him, the street was already awake. The sidewalk shimmered still from the 4 a.m. spray, the avenue clogged with delivery trucks double parked, old Chinese merchants, frenzied hefting boxes of broccoli and questionable meat. The bus was late again. A glance in the opposite direction led a bound as to why, a creep of hungover bus drivers notwithstanding. The flow of traffic mimicked the bent old ladies shuffling by along the sidewalk, pigeon-like ubiquity of pink grocery bags. Joining their midst, hands in pockets, he began walking, pace quickening past Union Square, there stooping to read the headlines through the stickered plexiglass of the newsstand. Elections in a month, a slow news day's wet dream. Buying one would only encourage their shrill screed, he reasoned, and spitting walked on. Reaching the subway escalators, he turned, gazing a moment long, seeming far longer at the city behind him. Gray clouds blanketed the sky. The diffused light of the morning sun through them lending a cold ominousness to the downtown buildings. Far below their lofty heights, on a level with himself, people filled the streets as always in these early morning hours, proximity belying their general disconnect, each pursuing disparate directions. Maybe there was a time, a long time ago, perhaps when towns were smaller and people genuinely closer, when conversation met with the person in front or beside you, instead of displaced for miles through static earpieces, ignoring the guy asking for the time or some change. When we walk these spaces in unspoken unison. Perhaps, though, it's the nature of things that our paths diverge, rifts between us ever widening as the space between stars and the continuum of time as the universe slowly flies apart. Perhaps in keeping a constant acceleration, we hope to catch up to a moment in our collective history, to bear down on the panting form of yesterday and lap it like a distance runner, to catch a passing glimpse for validation that that time existed when surely things were better, and perhaps finally pinpoint where we fucked it all up. Either everything continues flying apart into infinity, or the race ends when the universe collapses, utterly spent. The contemplation of such decisive ends is of little actual use in the mere flicker of a human lifetime, and ever more pertinent matters abound at present. As he crossed the platform, a number of things happened. Somewhere 3,000 miles away, a phone call was received, acknowledged, and hung up. The gathered crowd of midday commuters hardly noticed the man in maintenance coveralls shut the door to a utility closet, and walk casually through their midst up the stairs. The minutes pass. The train arrives, passengers board, and it leaves again. On the surface, pigeons eye the cracked sidewalk in hopeful anticipation of victuals one would have to be a pigeon to be hopeful about. In a donut shop, a junkie and a cop exchange knowing glances. Businessmen continue to shout into cell phones over the din of traffic. People hop buses, wring hands as time passes, faster than blocks too many to walk. A couple from the Midwest puzzles over a tiny map and glances in every direction, fingers lazily pointing to nowhere in particular. In the park, a young woman holds her aging father's hand and asks him gently, "Can you still hear the birds?" And sitting on the end of the pier, gazing out over the water, he didn't turn his head toward the blinding flash that came, surely as he knew it would. He closed his eyes as the city behind him shuddered, as if first beholding its executioner, and in that fleeting instant of total recall, before everything slipped into blackness, darker than would soon rain down, he remembered every face he saw that morning, and the day before, and in all the days he walked this earth, and he knew, in the smallest increment of time before the blast rendered the city open from deep at its roots, as if plucked from the earth by the fiery hand of God himself, their souls would dance in the dead air, as the dust of 1,000 shattered windows howling in the acrid wind, their shadows etched on decimated walls forever. I've got a watch I never wanted, and it won't let me rewind it. Got an existential question, $5 to my name. So buy a drink or get a cab home. Either way, I'm leaving early. There's a fissure in the sidewalk, and it's swallowed my resolve. Ask the tree I'm holding up out here. It needs me like a hatchet job. There ain't no such things as free drinks if you want to know the truth. You pay now or likely 2 times on a bargain with the devil. There's a toaster in the pawn shop. Rest in pieces. Uncle Failure, you can't buy a better mousetrap, and the rats can sell you too. Show me a modicum of competence. Never mind, I know it's gone for good, and why does everything seem broken except the soles of my shoes? So write a eulogy for normal on the wall of my hotel room. I got 1 foot in the gutter and I can't find my way home. The day's been running away. Swallowed with the sinking sun, screw-threaded halfway down the sky, and I cocked an eye of a pint glass kaleidoscope and watched it slip beneath the rim. Of all the faded yesterdays since watchmaker twisted wheels and set the world a-spinning, tipsy on a crooked lathe, crooked timber etched and gouged, gilded in oil slicks and glass tower audacities, and this flicker as our twilight beckons, we are children playing chicken with the waves. That nullify our shallow footprints so. Never bet on a sleight of hands full at bedside that every your time will linger. And watchmaker notwithstanding, we'll soon be rid of each other. And while these sparks beneath the street lights seem afire, other places sing me siren songs. So when I'm spent, set my ashes in the ocean. Let me rest upon a beach I'll never see.